loses $600 billion in market value as China's DeepSeek sends shockwaves through the tech sector. Asian markets plunge as Wall Street's tech sell-off triggers a global wave of uncertainty, and we explore US President Donald Trump's renewable energy policies as he pledges to roll back major projects. Hello, I'm Taiba Aydin with the latest business and finance news here on TRT World. China's DeepSeek announced its latest AI model on Monday, triggering a massive $1 trillion sell-off in US tech stocks. Despite being relatively new, AI is already being used in sectors ranging from manufacturing and education to chatbots and social media. But the technology is growing at such a rate that even firms at the forefront of AI investments were hit by China's startups' latest release. Emre Boz has more.
Chinese AI startup DeepSeek is only a year old, but it's taken Silicon Valley by storm, and the shockwaves have been felt across a range of tech stocks. The Nasdaq 100 index, mostly comprising of the largest US tech companies, slid 4.5% on the news. DeepSeek was founded in May 2023 by Liang Wenfeng, chief of AI-driven quant hedge fund Highflyer. According to reports, they've released a new AI model that can outperform America's best, with the startup using cheaper and less powerful chips. But overall, it shows clearly that the race for AI technologies continues to boom. AI saw a massive spike in investments after 2021. The figure nearly doubled from 2020 and 2021, jumping from global investments of around $48 billion to more than $93 billion. China and the US take the lion's share of expected investments in 2025 at more than 73% of market share. And with the coming of US President Donald Trump, AI is at the fore of his vision for the country. He plans to invest $500 billion into AI infrastructure.
What we want to do is we want to keep it in this country. China is a competitor and others are competitors. We want it to be in this country, and we're making it available. I'm going to help a lot through emergency declarations because we have an emergency. We have to get this stuff built.
AI holds incredible promise for all of us, for every American. We've actually been working with OpenAI for a while and with Masa for a while. The data centers are actually under construction.
But other regions like the European Union are being more cautious. They've given the green light for the world's first regulation on AI. The AI Act sets out rules to promote its safer use in Europe, making sure that AI systems respect basic human rights and ethics. Officials believe the law will be the first step in promoting more efficient AI use within the bloc.
This is really something that is much more, I believe, than a rule book. It's a launchpad for the European startups and also researchers to lead the global race for what our fellow citizens want. A trustworthy AI.
One thing's for sure though, AI is not only here to stay, but it's also paving the way into the future. Emre Boz, TRT World.
Meanwhile, the knock-on effect is being felt by global markets who have been experiencing unprecedented volatility. Tech giant Nvidia shed nearly $600 billion in market cap on Monday, the largest single-day loss in US history. The chipmaker's stock plummeted 17%, dragging the Nasdaq down 3.1% amid fears of reduced GPU demand. Chinese AI lab DeepSeek unveiled a low-cost open-source AI model, sparking concerns over demand for Nvidia's graphics processing units. The model, built using Nvidia's H800 chips, highlights growing competition in the global AI race. The sell-off extended into Asian trading on Tuesday, with Japan's Nikkei 225 dropping 1.3%. Chip-related stocks like Advantest and Tokyo Electron lost 11% and 4.8% respectively. The decline reflects broader anxieties over AI competition and spending pullbacks. For more on this, we're joined by Farah Murad in Dubai. She's a senior market analyst at Equity Group. Welcome back to TRT World, Farah. Now, more than $1 trillion were wiped off US stock markets on Monday. Why has DeepSeek spooked markets so much?
Thank you, Taiba, for having me. And I mean, the answer should be really simple. The cost efficiency, we're talking about an AI project, a very competitive one, that we didn't really invest over 6 million to create it, compared to the US tech industry that spends billions on their AI models and research. So that would be the simple way to put it. Definitely, we also see this huge spike or probable overvaluation in the US stock market. So any news like that will definitely spook the market.
And what does this historic $600 billion loss for Nvidia mean for the future of AI-related stocks?
In the US, definitely it's a point to take into consideration as investors. I mean, if we want to compare the cost efficiency, for DeepSeek, as we said, it didn't exceed $6 million. It used less products, less energy, compared to, let's say, the biggest tech companies in the US, Amazon, Microsoft, Alphabet, collectively. Last year only, they spent 236 billion on their AI-related projects and research. We are expecting it to go above $500 billion. So definitely as an investor, why would I jump in right now in these AI-related stocks while they are somehow overvaluated and probably there's better competition elsewhere?
And how significant of a challenge does this pose to the US's AI dominance?
I mean, yes, it is a huge question mark. We need to take into consideration that this huge spike that we saw in the US stock market, especially in Nasdaq, for example, it was all built on the what we call significant or magnificent seven. So AI was the main core where it was the main drive of this whole bull market that we saw in the US stock market. So that's something to take into consideration. I think maybe we need to see different projects, different AI models, more competitive, more energy efficient, less cost as well, to maybe consider. Now it's still too early. We need to also see maybe the way that DeepSeek would evolve, but that's something that we should definitely take into consideration.
Okay, Farah, Murad, we will have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's go now to Sydney, where Toby Walsh joins us. He's Chief Scientist at the University of New South Wales' AI Institute. Toby, now how significant is DeepSeek's rise as a challenge to the US's AI dominance? And what does it mean for the future of American tech innovation?
Well, it's a very interesting development. It demonstrates that the AI race is still to be won. And it's not necessarily going to be won by the existing large tech players in the US. A small young company Chinese company like DeepSeek can actually get to the state of the art and do it with a lot less money. I should point out, it's not going to end with this Chinese company. Building AI models is a bit like running the 4-minute mile. When the first human did it, we knew it was technically possible. Lots of people were then able to do it. So lots of people are now going to be able to build smaller, cheaper models like this. And indeed, there's already a project on Hugging Face. This is this collaborative sharing network where we build our AI models to recreate the DeepSeek R1 model, do it open source and do it for free.
And President Trump has called DeepSeek a wake-up call for US industries. Do you believe current policies and export controls are sufficient to address this challenge, or are stricter measures needed?
Well, it demonstrates that the export controls were not adequate. They limited the export of the latest generation Nvidia GPU chips, the 8100s. This company, DeepSeek, was able to get their hands on a smaller number of older, as far as we understand, older A100 GPUs. But that was necessity was the mother of invention in this case, that forced them to do it faster, cheaper, with less compute. So yes, it demonstrates that US is not going to be able to maintain a technical lead by these export controls as they stand.
Right, and you've mentioned the low cost of this. How would this shift impact the global supply chain?
Well, you've got to separate two parts to the cost. I mean, there's cost of building the models, and DeepSeek demonstrates that we can do this at much cheaper cost than's been done before, orders of magnitude cheaper. That's good news for competition amongst the models. There's still the other part, the other front that we need to consider, which is the AI infrastructure. How do you deliver these models to people at scale? And that hasn't got that much cheaper. And we heard the Trump's announcement of over $500 billion, an astronomical amount of money being invested in that AI infrastructure. We tend to forget that companies like Google and Microsoft and Amazon are these vast technical infrastructure they've built. They've got satellite networks, undersea cables, data centers everywhere. They've been investing billions over the years in this infrastructure, and they're going to spend even more to make it AI capable. Good news for them is that the models are going to be a bit smaller and a bit cheaper than they expected, so they might not need quite as much infrastructure, but they are nevertheless going to still be spending tens, if not hundreds of billions, so that you have that at your fingertips. We expect to turn on Netflix and be able to stream movies. Well, that takes a lot of infrastructure, and that side of the equation still requires big investment. And we know who's won that game. That is the Googles, the Microsofts, the Amazons. No one's going to be able to build the legacy infrastructure they've got, or to be able to compete with those really deep pockets.
Now, over the past year, we saw the tech sector grow immensely. Has this ultimately popped the AI bubble, or is this just the beginning of it all?
It is just the beginning. There are a few companies clearly who are overvalued. I could never understand why Nvidia, the people making the shovels for the AI revolution, were the most valuable company in the world. They're no longer the most valuable company. They're only now the third most valuable company. So yes, there was some overinflated prices, but it's worth pointing out some of the tech giants didn't go down. Some of the tech giants who will profit from this, people like the Amazons of the world who delivered the AI infrastructure, their task has just got a little bit cheaper. So actually, Amazon share price, when I last looked, had gone up slightly.
All right, Toby Walsh from the University of New South Wales' AI Institute. Thank you very much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, a quick look at some of the other top business stories from around the world. US President Donald Trump has confirmed that Microsoft is in talks to buy TikTok and hinted at a bidding war for the app. TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance faces pressure to sell its US operations over security concerns. Trump recently reversed a ban on the video streaming platform, giving it 75 more days. Talks with Microsoft and Oracle had previously failed, but Trump expects a decision soon. Tesla and BMW are taking the EU to court over new tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles. Why? Because both car makers make EVs in China. The European Union has added extra taxes up to 35% to protect European car makers from cheap Chinese EVs. The auto giants say the tariffs hurt their businesses and slow Europe's shift to green transport. Sales of new homes in the US have hit their highest level in 3 years, even though higher mortgage rates are making it harder for buyers. About 683,000 new homes were sold last year, marking a 2.5% increase from the previous year. The surge has mainly been driven by existing homeowners' reluctance to sell their properties in recent years. And the European Union has offered $32 million in emergency aid to help buy gas for Moldova's separatist Transnistria region. The move comes after Russia's Gazprom cut off supplies on January 1st over a debt dispute with the pro-EU Moldovan government. The energy crisis has left roughly 400,000 residents without any heating or hot water. President Trump is making moves to cut back on offshore wind power and even cancel some current deals in a complete turnaround from his first term. Renewable energy generates more than 20% of all US electricity, with wind power alone contributing 10%. Industry leaders have criticized Trump's order, warning that it undermines energy security and could derail efforts to meet renewable energy goals. The uncertainty is especially concerning for eastern states like New York and Massachusetts, which are heavily invested in offshore wind projects to meet their climate targets. The Biden administration approved permits for 11 commercial-scale wind farms along the Atlantic coast, 5 of which are under construction. Adding to the challenge, offshore wind projects face significant obstacles, including higher costs, delays and supply chain disruptions. Ørsted, a major developer in the sector, recently announced a $1.7 billion write-down on its US projects amid the mounting difficulties. Meanwhile, major economies, including the European Union and even oil-dependent nations like Saudi Arabia, are investing more in cheaper and more efficient renewable technologies. The US risks falling behind, potentially ceding its competitive edge to countries like China, which has taken a dominant position in the global renewable energy market. Joining me now for more is Filiz Katman. She's president of the Energy Politics and Markets Research Center at Istanbul Aydın University. Now, how could Trump's offshore wind cuts impact the US's renewable energy goals?
The first Trump administration, Trump has attempted to withdraw America from climate deal, and it is expected that he's going to make a similar move. And it happened, and it will be a big impact not only in American economy but in the global scale as well. Primarily, shift to the sources which are hydrocarbons will definitely have an impact with regard to oil companies. Stocks you have mentioned about artificial intelligence. I think this is another parameter that why Trump preferred to focus on not renewable energy but in the hydrocarbons, because we all know that artificial intelligence consumes huge amount of, and digital currencies consumes huge amount of energy resources, and it is argued that renewable energy will not be sufficient enough to meet up the goals of the expected energy demand coming from both in the digital currency and artificial intelligence area. So that's why it is both a kind of internal focus, and it has definitely have relation to the American foreign policy with regard to withdrawal, focus from Middle East and focus more on the Arctic region as well.
And what economic and environmental consequences could cutting back on green energy have?
This is, I think, the most vital one, because we all know that why Kyoto Protocol falls from accomplishing the goals. It is because that two big energy polluters, namely United States of America and China, did not approve in their parliament. So we had a window of opportunity with the Paris climate deal, with Obama administration, when America and China, they both signed Paris climate deal. But when we have Trump administration, America withdrew, it was a breakthrough. It was a very negative impact with regard to goals that were set at the Paris climate summit. When Biden administration came into power, it was going back to the originals, and America returned back to climate deal. But one step back to withdraw from climate deal, very giant polluter, namely America, withdrawing from the targets in order to reduce greenhouse gas emissions will have very negative impact in the overall economy and overall air quality in the world. We are going to see the impact. Yes, we know that European Union has very ambitious goals, but without America, without China, we should definitely look at what China is developing. We all know that China has big accomplishments with regard to renewable energy capacity. But if America is not in the picture, I think global climate policies will not going to be achieving any targets at all.
Okay, Filiz Katman from Istanbul Aydın University, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for joining.
Since assuming office, Donald Trump's interest in Greenland has continued, despite growing opposition from politicians on the island and from Denmark. Danish politicians have veered between claiming the semi-autonomous region should be free and asserting Danish sovereignty over it. But Denmark's colonial legacy there is complicated, as TRT World's Joel Flynn reports.
For centuries, the village of Kornok was home to a small number of Inuit families. It was one of a myriad of similar settlements spread all over Greenland. Like most, people here relied on fishing and hunting. That was until 1972, when the entire village was forced to leave by the Danish government. Life in Greenland has undergone a revolution over the last few generations, creating opportunities for some, but also creating a raft of issues. Communities like these, their culture, their idiosyncrasies and their people have all been wrenched into the modern age, and they may soon be faced with yet more change. Hundreds of villages like this across Greenland have been abandoned over the years, while some left their homes to seek out new hunting grounds. Others, like in Kornok, were forced to move as part of Danish efforts to modernise Greenland. Those efforts have had mixed results. Greenland's economy has developed, but for many, it has come at a cost. Homelessness, substance abuse and mental health issues are problems visible in the capital Nuuk. They've also contributed to one of the highest suicide rates in the world. Some of those struggling have come to rely on the Frelsens Hari, a local outpost of the Salvation Army, a Christian organisation known for looking after those in need.
Life in Greenland has changed so much in the past 3-4 generations, and all these changes have produced issues that first society has to discover the issue existing and then do something about it.
Denmark's governance of this territory has been in focus in the wake of Donald Trump's claim he intends to acquire Greenland, either through purchase or through force. In the weeks since he made those remarks, questions have grown about Greenland's future and whether it lies with the United States, with Denmark, or with independence.
We have a Danish people with us. They help us many times. They good.
You like the Danes?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thank them.
Mm-hmm.
Not the United States.
Do you think the Americans would improve things for those sorts of situations?
I don't know. No, maybe not. Because as you can see, we already got a bit of modern land, but it's just maybe the population. We have to take us on our neck and do something about it.
Greenland is confronting change and challenges everywhere it looks, but the people here believe whatever happens next, they will endure as they always have done. Joel Flynn, TRT World in Greenland.
The owner of a Bulgarian shipping company says one of his vessels may have damaged an undersea Baltic cable by accident. Swedish authorities are investigating after another undersea cable was damaged on Sunday, this time between Latvia and Sweden. Paul Hawkins has the details.
Is this ship to blame for Sunday's cable damage between Latvia and Sweden? Its owner says if it is, it's an accident.
When the wind stopped, the crew went out so they could check the possible damage. They found out the left anchor had fallen, as we put it in sea language, and it has been dragging on the sea floor. It is possible that the ship had caused a problem with the cable, but there is absolutely no way that we're talking about an act of sabotage or whatever other action on behalf of our crew.
Sweden is investigating, and if accidental, the timing is awful. Last month, Finnish police seized this Russian oil tanker, accusing it of using its anchor to damage undersea infrastructure cables between Finland and Estonia. The latest in a string of undersea power cable and pipeline outages since Russia invaded Ukraine. Which is why NATO has deployed this Dutch frigate as part of Operation Baltic Sentry to protect undersea cables.
Within NATO, there's not only this ship, there are two task groups. We've got aircraft up there. We're very connected with all the maritime operations center in the area. And with this network, we aim to make sure that we know what's happening at sea. It all starts with awareness. And once you aware of what is happening, you're able to interfere if anything is happening that's not supposed to happen.
Russia denies sabotage. But even though this latest incident involves a ship from Bulgaria, a fellow NATO member, the Swedes and the alliance are taking no chances. Paul Hawkins, TRT World.
Well, that's all your business news for now. Thanks for watching. The Newsmakers is next.